V by Nikolai Gogol. Horror novella. Part 6. It was long past midnight. The sky was dark, and small stars flashed here and there. There was no light in any of the huts. Accompanied by the barking of a dog, they drove into the yard. On both sides, thatch-roofed sheds and cottages could be seen. One of them, in the middle, directly facing the gates, was bigger than the rest, and seemed to be the owner's dwelling. The wagon stopped before something like a small shed, and our travellers went to sleep. The philosopher, however, wanted to look the master's mansion over a little, but however wide he opened his eyes, he could see nothing clearly. Instead of the house, he saw a bear, the chimney turned into a rector. The philosopher waved his hand and went to sleep. When the philosopher woke up, the whole house was astir. During the night, the master's daughter had died. Servants ran to and fro in a flurry. Some old woman cried. A crowd of the curious looked through the fence into the master's yard, as if there was anything to be seen there. The philosopher began leisurely to examine the places he had been unable to make out at night. The master's house was a small, low building, such as was commonly built in the old days. It was held up by oak posts, the upper half rounded, and the lower hexagonal, with fancy turnings at the tops. Under this pediment was a small porch with benches on both sides. Several barns stood in 2 rows in the yard, forming a sort of wide street leading to the house. Beyond the barns, towards the gates, the triangles of 2 cellars stood facing each other. The wall of each was furnished with a door and painted over with various images. On one of them a Cossack was portrayed, sitting on a barrel, holding a mug over his head, with the inscription, "I'll drink it all." On the other, a flask, bottles, and around them, for the beauty of it, an upside-down horse, a pipe, tambourines, and the inscription, "Drink the Cossack's delight." By the gates stood 2 cannon. Everything showed that the master of the house liked to make merry, and that the yard often resounded with the noise of feasting. Outside the gates were 2 windmills. Behind the house ran the gardens, and through the treetops one could see only the dark caps of chimneys, hiding in the green mass of cottages. The entire settlement was situated on a wide and level mountain ledge. To the north, everything was screened off by a steep mountain, the foot of which came right down to the yard. Looked at from below, it seemed steeper still, and on its high top the irregular stems of skimpy weeds stuck out here and there, black against the bright sky. Its bare and clayey appearance evoked a certain despondency. From the top, a road wound down all over the mountain, and in its descent went past the yard into the settlement. When the philosopher measured its terrible steepness and remembered the previous day's journey, he decided that either the master's horses were very smart, or the Cossacks' heads were very strong, to have managed, even in drunken fumes, not to tumble down head first along with the boundless wagon and the baggage. The philosopher stood on the highest point of the yard, and when he turned and looked in the opposite direction, he was presented with a totally different sight. The settlement, together with the slope, rolled down onto a plain. Vast meadows opened out beyond the reach of sight. Their bright greenery became darker in the distance, and whole rows of villages blued far off, though they were more than a dozen miles away. To the right of these meadows, mountains stretched, and the distant, barely noticeable strip of the Dnieper burned and darkled. "Ah, a fine spot," said the philosopher. "To live here, to fish in the Dnieper and the ponds, to take a net or a gun and go hunting for snipe and curlew. Quantities of fruit can be dried and sold in town, or even better, distilled into vodka, because no liquor can touch vodka made from fruit. And it also wouldn't hurt to consider how to slip away from here." He noticed a small path beyond the wattle fence, completely overgrown with weeds. He mechanically stepped onto it, thinking at first only of taking a stroll, and then of quietly blowing out between the cottages into the meadows, when he felt a rather strong hand on his shoulder. Behind him stood the same old Cossack who had grieved so bitterly yesterday over the death of his mother and father and his own loneliness. "You oughtn't to be thinking, Master Philosopher, about skipping from the farmstead," he said. "It's not set up here so you can run away, and the roads are bad for walking. Better go to the master. He's been waiting for you long time in his room." "Let's go. Why not? It's my pleasure," said the philosopher, and he followed after the Cossack. The story continues in part 7.